Good evening and welcome to Coach World TV. My name is Terry Yoffe, and tonight is my guest. I have Russ Terry.
Yes, it's the
It's our
Terry and
in
Terry
Terry
show.
show tonight. Okay, that's going to be a treat. So, Russ is a life coach and a radio show host, and Russ's primary niche, although he has many, is he works with primarily young women who finally want to put themselves first. Sounds wonderful.
It really
Yeah.
is, yes.
So, yeah,
So many
I
women,
know.
they work at a job that they don't even like. They work all these hours. They are great nurturers, whether it's family, etc., and they've never put themselves first before.
So, before we get to the first,
Yes.
one thing I want to say is we've all been affected by Hurricane Sandy, and we just want to let you know that ICF NYC chapter is thinking of everybody out there, whether you've not had power, whether you've had flooding, or you've been lucky enough not to have any damage. But there are so many people out there in the tri-state area that are still being affected by the storm, and ICF NYC chapter is going to be offering coaching services to anyone that feels they could use help with their stress, how to move forward, or any of those situations or anything beyond that. So if you are interested, please, please call us or email us on the website. Go to www.icfnyc.org and you can reach out to any of us. We have a Facebook page, ICF NYC chapter, and please get in touch with us because we are ready to serve anyone that needs it.
Yeah,
So,
the storm was so terrible
know.
for so many of us, myself included. And certainly, as life coaches, sometimes people think, oh, they have everything under control, but it was really challenging. I myself was without power for 5 days.
Yeah.
For most of it, I was like, okay, what's the positive in this situation? I.e., the outpouring of love that I felt from my friends who said, hey, I have power, you can come stay with
Yeah.
me, etc.,
Right.
use my power, etc. But also, there's the challenging part. We got power back where I live on Saturday, and then you think, oh, okay, everything's fixed now. But then the gas stations are still
Oh,
crazy,
yes.
roads are
No,
still
right.
closed. So
Yeah.
it's so tough for everybody dealing with
Yeah.
challenge after challenge after
Yeah.
challenge, and some people still don't have their power.
That's true. And if you look at Staten Island and you look at Jersey or anything, even downtown New York City, floodings that are going on. There are trains that are still not going there. So it was pretty devastating for a lot of people. And,
Yeah,
you
I
know,
think the key though is what are the lessons learned? For
yeah.
me, I feel like I got through that 5 days without power and having to throw away all my food that spoiled and having to walk to the supermarket. And I feel now that I can handle anything that's thrown at me because I was able to get through a very challenging experience.
Yeah.
So I encourage people watching, what's the lesson that you got out of this?
Well, I was fortunate enough to have power. Didn't really affect our building. I'm on the Upper East Side. Um, but it was a lot of outpouring. I think in our apartment building, almost a lot of people had people staying with
Right,
them. I
right.
mean, we had our family come and stay with us. So people were opening up their hearts, their pocketbooks, their doors
Yeah,
for people to come and be with them. So it does bring people together
it
in a
does.
lot of ways, especially New York.
Yeah.
We're a hardy crew, and I think after 9/11, I think that this city could endure anything.
Yeah.
And when you look at the people in, as I said, the outskirts whose homes were devastated
Yeah.
and lost, it's hard to imagine. But people have been, I'm sure, pouring their hearts out to them. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, but I know so many people that just like you took in your family, the places I went, there were other people staying there, and seeing the outpouring of love, like we
Yeah.
said, is just
Yeah,
amazing.
that's true. And to top it all off, we have election day tomorrow.
I know. Happy
so,
election
so
night
we've gotten
eve.
sandwiched
I
in
know.
tonight.
I got a prime time slot.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah, it's election day, so please go out and vote tomorrow. And hopefully you can get there and try to get to the polls wherever you are.
Yes,
So,
definitely. Yeah.
so
On to life
on
coaching.
to life,
Yeah.
which and to you. And so one of the first questions I'll ask Russ is, when did you know that coaching was the path you wanted to take? When did the light bulb go off?
My story is so crazy. Only recently, within the last
Mm,
year, it was a year ago this week that I got a bad performance evaluation at my job of 12 and a half years. And getting that bad
mm,
evaluation from a person I didn't like working for made me stop and think and say, you know what? I don't want to do this anymore.
mm,
But what am I going to do? I've been at
right.
this place for so long, you
Mm,
know?
uh-huh.
So I
Yeah.
was doing some soul searching, thinking, what do I want to do? And in mid December last year, somebody said, have you ever thought about being a life coach? And I thought, no, I
Or
didn't even
did you
really
even
know what it
ask what is
was.
a
Yeah,
life coach?
yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah. So, you know, I did a little bit of research, and that was mid December. And then the first week in January, somebody totally different, didn't even know that person, said, have you ever thought about being a life coach? And I just looked at
Mm,
it as, wow, this is
mm,
a sign that this is what
mm,
I'm called to
mm,
do.
mm-hmm,
So I left the job mid March. March 15th was my last day. I
mm-hmm,
started a life coach training
mm-hmm.
program on March 16th, the next morning. And by late morning that day, I knew that this is what I was born to do.
Wow. Good
Yeah,
for you.
yeah,
Because, a lot of people don't grow up thinking I'm going to be a coach. I
right,
mean, unless they're going to be a little league coach or a
right,
basketball coach or, something like that. They kind of come into it somewhere in their career.
right.
And for me as well, I was in advertising sales for many years, and I had my own business, and I decided something else, and I didn't know what that was. And I did a lot of exploration and talked to people, and I got to coaching, and that was in '03. So I've been
Almost 10
doing
years.
almost 10 years, right? Oh my God, next year is 10
Yeah,
years.
happy
Wow.
almost anniversary.
Wow, I didn't even think about that. So, so you found your way into that. So tell us how you found a niche that excites you and you have a passion for, because there's so many
Yeah,
different avenues one can go down to be a coach.
yeah. So I have three main niches that I
Mm-hmm.
work on. The first is millennial men, so guys who
Mm,
are in that 18 to 30 age
mm,
group
mm-hmm.
who most likely are in their first post college job.
Mm-hmm.
They've had some
Mm-hmm.
career success,
Mm-hmm.
but the big question for them is now what? So, what do they do career wise? Do they switch
Mm-hmm.
jobs? A lot of them want to eat more healthy,
Mm-hmm.
drink less because they're
Right,
further
they
away
come
from
out from
college.
college,
Right,
right?
exactly.
Absolutely.
They want to reconnect with their families
Mm-hmm.
because in a lot of situations
Mm.
they went away to college, then went away for a job, and now they're like, you know what, I want to reconnect with my family.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the main trends I see in millennial men.
Mm.
The next niche is career transition. So I've career transitioned a few times.
Mm-hmm.
I used to be a CPA, I was
Ah,
in human
okay.
resources, I was a sports anchor and reporter at a
Wow.
TV station, and now a life coach. So I've been
Got a
able to
few
do it.
careers like
A
I have
few,
as well.
see? Great minds think
Yeah.
alike. Yeah. So I've been able to do it myself.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm working with some people who were laid off and they want to take this as an opportunity to switch to something
Mm-hmm.
that they're really
Mm-hmm.
passionate about.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
And then other people who weren't laid off, but they too want to switch to something that they're passionate about. So career transition, that's the second one.
Mm.
And then the third one is Russ Terry's Ladies First. So women, as I said earlier, who really want to start to put themselves first, work in a job that they're passionate about, maybe
Wonderful.
move to a different country, all kinds of different things. But a lot of the women clients I have, and most are in their 20s and 30s, a few in their 40s, most of them, or a good number of them, are a little bit overwhelmed by all the different possibilities that they have.
Yeah, sure.
And because they're overwhelmed, they don't take any action because they can't decide which to do. I'm sorry, I'm boring
No,
you.
you
I'll get
are
up and
not.
dance.
You are not at all. I have been working on very little
I
sleep, and I
know.
am just exhausted.
No,
So
it's okay.
please,
Yeah, no. It's
no,
totally
I
fine.
am apologizing. It has nothing to do with you. This is very
How could it, right? Yeah.
stimulating.
But yeah, so helping with my women clients decide
Mm-hmm.
which path to go down. Some of them, there are 5 or 6 different options running through their head, and they just can't decide what to do first. So I help them break it down. Okay, how many things can you focus on what now? Right now, is it 1? Is it 2? Is it 3? And then what are the first couple steps that they can take
Right.
in those areas?
Wow. So, what would you like to focus on tonight? What's juicy here
Uh,
that we can
yeah,
talk
well,
about? That's good for you.
I think my own personal journey, a lot of people I interact with say that they are inspired by it. That I started my own business as an entrepreneur from nothing
okay.
earlier this year. I got my first client in early April. By mid-May, I was up to 8 clients.
Wow, very nice.
Just over the weekend, I got up to 32 clients, which
Wow.
I'm very excited about. I have my first paid corporate gig next week.
Very nice.
So I think I've been able to prove that I can reinvent myself. And
Yeah.
when you are working in something that you're incredibly passionate about, and I've become passionate about life coaching, it wasn't even on my radar.
Right.
It doesn't
Exactly.
even feel like work. You know, I watch TV less, I work more, but again, I'm doing it for myself, and I
Sure.
feel like, you know, at the ripe old age of 41, I found the thing that's
great.
the
Yeah.
perfect culmination of everything I've done
Yeah.
leading up to this.
Certainly, being in your own business, this is my second business, so it's very liberating in that
Yeah.
you do your own thing and you don't have to rely on anybody other than yourself.
Right.
But and nobody's going to give you a bad performance
Right.
review.
Right. I give myself a great
right.
one, by the way.
So that's great.
Yeah.
And yeah. So, how have you found coaching thus far? I mean, what's
It is.
a defining, or has there been a defining moment or two for you?
It is so incredible helping people make changes in their lives. Some of my clients are friends, and but regardless of whether they're a friend or not a friend, just helping them get from point A, where they were paralyzed by fear and didn't take action, to the point now where they have a new job that they love, or they've achieved this personal goal of focusing on their personal finance for the first time, or really focusing on fun and enjoyment, which I think is such a key to life. And so many people just focus on work.
Right.
So I
Certainly,
really help
especially
people.
now.
Yeah, and hey, we all need to make money, so you need to work to some extent, but there are some people that focus 95% on work, and there's so much more that life has to offer, whether it's fun and enjoyment, family, an intimate relationship, social relationships, personal finance, personal development, health, spirituality. So those are the 9 areas that I focus on with my clients, and make sure that they focus on all these 9 areas.
Well, you've got quite a bag of tricks.
I do,
For
up my
sure.
sleeve.
Yeah, up your sleeve, quite a lot. And yeah, as far as people working harder and longer, I think with the economy the way it is and people not sure, I think that plays into it as well. That people want to prove themselves and they don't want to be out the door at 6 o'clock
Right.
with what's going on.
Right.
So that does play into it. But you're right, people do have to have a work-life balance.
Right.
Absolutely.
And they're afraid. But there are some people who are working 18-hour days and working every single weekend. Well, you know what? If they dialed it back just a bit to, instead of working 18-hour days, maybe a 12-hour day
Wow.
or every other
Yeah.
weekend, chances are their job isn't going to fire them
Oh,
for
no,
still
no,
putting
I
in
don't.
60-hour
No,
weeks.
I agree. I think it's their mindset.
Right.
I'm not sure it's the mindset of the company, although I do work with clients that their companies do require that they're on call 24/7 with one of their devices or
Right.
whatever, and work long hours. Sometimes it goes with the territory. I mean, notwithstanding that they don't have to stay
Right.
and do, you know, but if they've got nowhere to go,
Right.
then they're obliged to do what is expected of them,
Right.
unfortunately.
Right. And that's the key.
Yeah.
If they have nowhere to go. So what are they going to do to make sure that they have somewhere to go so they can say to their boss, you know what, I have a commitment from 7:30 to 9, but you can reach me up until 7:30 and then from 9 o'clock on, you know? And what's the worst that can happen in this generation, especially the millennial generation? I have a lot of millennial clients. They want to have a balanced life.
Right. Well, or to go, meaning another job to go to.
Right, right, which
Yeah, you
some
know,
people have to do that too.
That they don't have it. So they're obliged to give their boss whatever they want as far as timing goes.
Right.
So yes, that is true. That is true. And I love all the niches that you've got going for you. I
well,
really do. Oh, you've got
I
lots.
know.
Oh my
I
goodness.
have lots more to
Oh,
talk
yeah,
about,
lots.
Terry. It's
And
the
you've
Terry
got
and Terry Show.
And you've got a radio show.
Yes. Yes. So
Right.
that's.
I have a TV show and you have a radio show.
I know. Seriously,
See?
we're a dynamic duo.
We are.
Yeah, but the radio show's been great. It just started
Uh-huh.
a little more than a month ago, and so far about 1,500 people are listening to each
Wow,
episode,
great.
which has been great. The one last week was on relationships. I'm not on the radio tonight because it's Monday night, so I'm here instead with you.
Wow.
But I have an exciting schedule coming up in November. Next Monday, the 12th, it's all about education in America, the state of education, and what we can do about it, whether you're a parent, whether you're somebody who's single and doesn't have kids, but maybe you have a niece and nephew. So that should be interesting. And then Monday the 19th, it's the Monday before Thanksgiving.
right.
So I have 3
have
nutrition
turkeys
experts
out?
on. No turkeys, but I have 3 nutrition experts on who are going to
Okay.
talk about how to eat healthy for the holidays, which is such a huge issue for all of us.
It's
Yeah.
just eating smaller portions.
Well, eating smaller portions, and they have a lot of other tips too. And sometimes it's how do you exercise when you're home for the holidays? You can't exercise as
right.
much, and then you eat more. And
Yeah, Thanksgiving tends to be one of those. I mean, I'm not that big an eater, but I can see, people pile up their plates
Right.
and then they, the desserts
right,
are probably the best part of the
I know.
holiday.
I know, and it's okay to have desserts,
yeah.
but portion control, like you said,
Yeah.
is important. And for me, I eat a lot of dessert, but I try to do it especially on days I exercise, where I feel like my metabolism is flowing at a faster pace.
Actually, you should exercise the next day.
Well, chances are I probably do. I'm a little addicted to exercise, but that's okay. Yeah, so that's the November
great.
19th show, and then November 26th, I'm going to have an author on. His name's David Singer. He wrote the book 6 Simple Rules for Living a Simpler Life, which
Very
I think
nice.
is something that resonates with all of us. We all have so much going on. We're permanently attached to our phones,
Yes.
So that should be very interesting. So
Maybe I'll get on your show next year.
that would be
How
great.
about- See, isn't that a
Yeah.
nice invitation?
all right,
I'd
it'll be
love
the
to.
Terry and Terry Show Part 2.
Again, right, exactly.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah,
Miss Terry and Mr. Terry.
That's right.
Miss Terry and Mr. Terry. This is so cool.
Yeah,
I love
yeah.
it.
So that's November, and then I booked my first big name guest last week. He's going to be on in January. His name's Paul Carrick Brunson. He's the star of the show Lovetown on OWN, the Oprah Winfrey Network. So he has a book out called It's Complicated. He's a relationship coach.
Oh, really?
So yeah, I'm really
Oh.
excited to have him on. He's met Oprah, and Oprah is one of my idols, and
Oh,
as she
okay.
is to many of us who are coaches. So she has sat on his couch, and he is going to be on my show. So I'm like,
Oh, wow.
2 degrees from Oprah.
2 degrees. Maybe you can have her on your show.
Could you imagine? Oh my gosh.
Oh, my.
Wow.
Well, if you have her, you have to put her on my show
That's a deal. That sounds good.
next year. That's what
Yeah.
I booked for this year. So,
Yeah, so I do the radio show, and then I
That's
have
great.
a YouTube channel also. So the
Uh-huh.
weeks I don't
Okay.
do the radio show or some kind of TV appearance like this one, I have a YouTube webisode, just something quick, 3 to 6 minutes, where people can learn little nuggets about what to do. The most recent one was on personal finance. So it's something that is intimidating to a lot of people. They're
Sure.
not saving money at all. They're not focused on it.
yeah.
And the key to personal finance is starting to save as young as you're able to. So
That's
whether
true.
it's getting your credit cards paid off and then starting to save, whether it's a 401k at your job or whatever. So that was the most recent one. And then I'll have radio shows the next 6 weeks, but weekly webisode Wednesday, I call it, will
So
be back.
where is that, on YouTube?
It's on YouTube, yeah. So if you search on YouTube for Russ Terry, you should find me, and there are probably 15 or 20 different webisodes on there, all various topics. Webisodes,
Oh,
yeah.
gosh, I like that.
Yeah.
Webisodes. So you
Yeah.
just get on and do 5 or 6 minutes on whatever?
Whatever, yeah, various
Whatever
topics.
comes to
yeah.
mind?
Yep, sometimes there's been one on personal fitness, one on energy levels, not how much energy you have, but figurative energy, what your figurative energy is. There are people who, there was one woman who got laid off, and she said it was the best thing that ever happened to her.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. One of my potential clients saw that, and it really resonated with her, so then she became a client. So it's really a great way of paying it forward and getting more people to understand what life coaching is, and more people to think about, how can I make changes in my life? And a lot of people haven't really thought about it. They're just plodding along with the status quo that they don't like.
And my hunch about that a little bit is people sometimes like the status quo. It's a comfort zone for them.
It is. It is.
And even though they talk about, gee, I'd love to make changes and I want to do something, sometimes they don't.
Right.
And they don't because they're afraid of making the changes. You know, there's always this fear of rejection, this fear of not being loved, this fear of failure. There's also fear of success.
So true.
And what would happen if I actually became really successful? That even though we talk about a comfort zone, it's really kind of the word I'm looking for, but it's kind of a conflicting situation, because if you're miserable, people can be miserable and not happy and be in their comfort zone.
Right. Their comfort zone is being unhappy.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, and the boss that I worked for, that was his situation. You know, he was happy being unhappy and making the rest of us unhappy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So to make changes, it might look great, but they're too scared to do it, because they would have to change their story.
Right.
And people have such well-developed stories that they've really put into play, that to change the stories would be overwhelming.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they wouldn't know how to do it. They'd have to come up with a new storyboard that actually could support who they are today.
Right. And we were talking before we went on air about the fearless factor, our friend and colleague Jacqueline Wales's book.
Right, who was on the show a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, and she's going to be on my radio show coming up in December. But it's
from California.
From
where
California,
she now
right?
lives.
She can
We're
call
moving
in.
to, right?
Yeah, exactly. But she writes in the Fearless Factor just about that thing that, you know, what are people afraid of? And for some people, it's physical fear, i.e., afraid of heights, or maybe a woman who's afraid of pregnancy and giving birth and then having a life that you're responsible for. But for others, it might be a non-physical fear, like the things you mentioned, such as wanting to change careers or wanting to make a big change in your personal life. And people are afraid of that. And you probably do this with your clients. I do it with my clients. I say, what are you afraid of? And when you ask somebody that and they stop and think about it, then oftentimes they're like, well, okay, maybe I'm not afraid of something, you know?
Yeah. Or I do a lot of perspective work where I have people kind of move around. Even though I do phone coaching, we'll do it over the phone, where they'll be stuck in a perspective. And then I have them go to the opposite perspective. Like, what would it be like? What would the opposite one be like? Which is the freeing one.
Yeah.
And from that point, they move around to different perspectives until they find one that they can really take ownership of. And we put a game plan together about how they're going to be in that new perspective. And then they have to actually cross a line to commit to doing it.
And
so
it's do people want to make changes in their life? And many of them do, but for some it's so hard to make those changes. And it sounds like you've experienced that with your clients, and I experienced that with some of my clients. They really do want to make changes, but they are just so used to being afraid to make changes.
And this is where coaching comes in, because it's very hard to make changes alone. Because certainly the mind doesn't allow it. So working with somebody that actually can help and guide them to make the changes, where you have to be courageous to really make the kind of change you want to, so you get to where you want to go in your life.
Yeah,
And it takes courage to
it
do that.
does.
So they have a champion, they have a partner, they have an ally, cheerleader,
Right.
kind of
That's what we are.
cheering them on.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's so inspirational. I find when clients do show courage and they really are making changes in their life. And I have one client in particular, she's had multiple people come up to her and say, "You are so different. How are you so different?" Because she's really transformed herself and she's not working 18-hour days anymore. And
Right.
just that's just one example, but I mean, you probably see it too. It's great to see people making changes. I'm proud for them and I'm proud of them.
Yeah, it is rewarding.
Yeah.
It's a very rewarding profession, and making a difference in someone's life is certainly for me very important, as it is, I'm sure, for you and people that do go into the coaching profession
Yeah.
or any help profession. It
Yeah.
doesn't just have to be coaching.
No, but it's incredible. It's an incredible feeling. It's great for them. It's great for us. It's just a great, great partnership.
Well, that's great.
Yeah.
Glad to hear that.
Yeah.
And you're such a new coach.
I am. I know.
New
I'm a
coach.
rookie here.
You're,
New kid
well,
on the block.
a new kid on the block, but that's okay.
Yeah.
You're kind of jumping in with 2 feet
That's right.
and just swimming along.
I am. Yeah. I took swim lessons as a kid, so I'm ready. I'm in the deep end and I'm head above water, and
Yeah.
it's been a really great year.
And you're about to be a certified coach, right?
Yes.
You
Yes.
told me pretty soon.
Yes. As soon as
Just
the office reopens, they've been closed because of Sandy.
Yeah,
Yeah, but hopefully within the next month.
that's great.
Yeah.
And then you take an exam,
I took the written exam. I once they go through all my paperwork, then I'll take the oral exam. Yeah. So I passed the written exam,
Great.
and
I remember what that was like
yeah.
6 years ago.
Oh.
Doing that. Oh, that's great. Good for
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. So
It's very exciting.
it's exciting, and now that I'm done my certification stuff, I'm able to focus on other things. I
Right,
finally
sure.
built my Facebook page last week. Russ Terry, Life Coach. If you want to find me
Okay.
on Facebook, and
It's great.
yeah, it gives me more time to focus on my Twitter, R Terry Life Coach, and yeah, just building the business. It's been great.
Well, we have actually a few more, maybe half a minute left. Went quickly, right?
Time flies, and you're
Time
having
flies
fun
and you're
on the
having
Terry and
fun.
Terry
On
show.
the Terry and Terry show. So I want to, and we do have a few more minutes, but I want to not have the show end without saying thank you for coming. Really appreciate it. And Russ lives in Jersey City, and there's been some challenges for him.
Yeah.
And I'm very happy that he made the little trip over here from New Jersey
Yeah.
to come here and
Yeah,
be on the show. It's been delightful.
Yeah, it's
And
been a
we have
pleasure.
a couple of other seconds. So how would do you want to give them? Did you give them your website?
The website is russterrylifecoach.com. RUSSTERRY lifecoach.com. And it was such a pleasure being here, Terry.
Oh, it's great.
Seriously.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
you. I really appreciate it. And again, to all of you, our hearts go out. So thank you very much. And good night.
Good night.
Good night.